When strangers disappoint you, it stings. But when your own son makes you feel invisible, it hits somewhere deeper, like you never really mattered to begin with. I'm not bitter. I'm just tired of pretending it didn't hurt. The water started dripping again around 2 a.m. It wasn't loud, not like thunder or anything dramatic, just soft, steady plinks, like a ticking clock made of water, one every few seconds, landing right into the metal pot I'd placed under the leak. I'd lined it with an old towel to muffle the sound, but even that didn't stop it from keeping me awake. I sat up in bed, pulled on my old robe, and shuffled into the kitchen. The floor was cold through my socks. I poured the water out of the pot into the sink and slid it back under the brown stain spreading wider across the ceiling. I didn't say a word. What was there to say? The ceiling had been leaking for 2 winters now. My name's Carol Mendoza. I'm 70. I was a nurse for nearly 4 decades. ICU, night shifts, weekends, you name it. I raised my son, Marcus, mostly on my own after his father passed. Paid for his school, covered his first car, helped with college rent, even co-signed a loan when he wanted to start his financial advising business. That part always makes me smile. He advises people with money. I walked to the window, opened the curtain just enough to see the frost outside. Knoxville winters aren't as cruel as up north, but when your heater's been sputtering for weeks and the landlord's phone goes to voicemail, 38 degrees feels like punishment. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my recent texts. My last message to Marcus just said, "Hope you're staying warm out there, love you." No reply. Read 2 days ago, I get it, he's busy. San Francisco, finance, new wife. Life happens fast. Still, a part of me, some small, stupid part, kept hoping for a "hey mom" or even just a thumbs up emoji. I made tea, sat by the window, and waited for sunrise like I do most mornings. My phone buzzed. My heart jumped. But it wasn't Marcus. It was a news alert. Winter storm advisory issued for Knox County. Temps may drop into the teens overnight. I looked up at the ceiling. Drip, drip, drip. No, I wasn't angry, but I was cold. And the cold, after a while, doesn't just get into your bones. It gets into your heart, too. You ever scroll through something and just know you shouldn't tap it, but you do anyway? That was me, sitting under a blanket with 3 layers on, trying to warm my hands around a chipped mug of tea that had gone cold 10 minutes earlier. I opened Instagram, not expecting anything in particular, just habit. Just boredom, just something to look at other than the stain spreading across my ceiling. And there it was, Marcus, my son, standing in front of a beautiful modern ranch house, all white trim and stone walkway. He was smiling that big politician-style smile he always had when he was proud of something. Standing right next to him was Lucille, his wife's mother. She was holding a bouquet. There were balloons, a bottle of champagne. The caption read, "So proud to hand the keys to Mom Lucille's forever home today. You've given us so much. Time for us to give back. You deserve it all." I had to read it twice, then a 3rd time. I felt something tighten in my throat, like I'd swallowed a rock. I wasn't mad at her. Lucille never pretended to like me. I'd always been Carol from Tennessee to her, too plain, too simple, too not from her world. What gutted me was what Marcus didn't say, what he never says. I put the phone down and stared at the heater's blinking red light, flickering like it was thinking about dying again. My rent's cheap, but that's because the building's older than I am, and the landlord answers every call with a sigh like I'm asking too much just to be warm in winter. The room felt colder than before. I texted Marcus. "Saw your post. That house is beautiful. I'm happy for Lucille. By the way, if things get worse here, would it be okay for me to stay with you 2 a while, just until the weather warms up?" He replied 45 minutes later, "Mom, now's not the best time. We just got everything set up for Lucille to move in. It's a bit tight right now. Hope you understand." I stared at the screen. I had plenty of space when he crashed on my couch for 6 months back in 2011 after losing his job. But sure, things are tight. Question for you, watching. Have you ever helped someone your whole life, and then the second you need something small, they suddenly forget who you are? If you have, then you know exactly how cold I felt that night. And I don't just mean the weather. The heater gave out completely 2 nights after Marcus told me he didn't have the space. It made one last gasping noise around midnight, like an old man exhaling his final breath. And then, nothing. No hum, no warmth, just silence and a kind of stillness that made the air feel heavier somehow. I piled on every blanket I owned, 2 comforters, a quilt from the Goodwill bin, and an old throw someone gave me years ago with my name stitched into the corner. It still smelled faintly of lavender and hospital bleach. The temperature outside had dropped to 26 degrees. Inside, not much better. I boiled some water for tea, then filled a plastic hot water bottle and pressed it against my stomach like a sad little shield. I watched my breath curl in the air. At around 3 a.m., I got up to check the faucet in the kitchen. The landlord warned me once, "Don't let the pipes freeze, Miss Mendoza. Keep that water moving." So I did, but the floor was slick. I hadn't noticed the slow leak under the sink had worsened, and I was wearing those cheap fuzzy socks from the dollar store. One step, then a blur, then the crack of my hip against linoleum. I didn't scream. There was no one to hear it anyway. I just lay there, blinking at the ceiling like maybe it had an answer for me. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. I tried to sit up. My hip ached, but I hadn't broken anything, just bruised the same spot that had been sore since my fall last winter. I crawled to the chair, dragged myself up, and sat there for a long time, staring at my phone on the counter. Marcus's name stared back at me in my contacts list. I didn't call. What would I even say? "Hey, remember that time I nursed you through strep throat and drove across town in a snowstorm to bring you your science project?" Well, I just slipped in a puddle in my freezing kitchen and thought maybe, just maybe, you might care. No, I wasn't going to beg to matter. That night I didn't sleep. Not out of pain, though my hip throbbed. Not out of fear, though the cold was sharp. I stayed awake because something inside me had shifted. Like a plate of earth deep under my skin had cracked, and something colder, but stronger, was starting to rise. A few days after the fall, Grace, the retired schoolteacher from 3B, knocked on my door with a bag of groceries and a smile. "I found this old Android in my drawer," she said, handing me a phone. "It's not fancy, but it'll let you check the weather and call me if you fall again." I nearly cried right there in the hallway. That night, bundled up and bruised, I lay in bed scrolling through my old email account. I hadn't checked it in years, but the new phone made it easier. Most of it was junk, coupons, church newsletters, a few expired reminders from Walgreens. Then I saw it. Subject line, loan confirmation, Mendoza Capital Seed Round. Date, March 14, 2017. I opened it. It was from Marcus, a scanned agreement. My name, his name, my old signature, careful cursive, slightly tilted to the right. $40,000. Non-interest personal loan to be repaid within 24 months. I remembered printing that paper at the library, signing it in my bathrobe, telling Marcus I didn't care how long it took. I just wanted him to have a fair start. I clicked his company's name, Mendoza Financial Group. Their website popped up clean and polished, all navy blue and stock photos of happy retirees. There, listed under recent transactions, was a press release. Proud to announce the purchase of our first real estate investment, a $650,000 ranch-style home in San Diego, gifted to Lucille Green, a lifelong mentor and maternal figure to our founder. My mouth went dry. I clicked again and again. In one article, Marcus said, "This home is a thank you to the woman who shaped me." Shaped him? I shaped him. With night shifts and skipped meals and washing sheets when he had the flu, Lucille didn't change his diapers. She didn't sell her car and ride buses for years so he could open a firm. I sat still for a long time, the kind of still where even your own heartbeat feels loud. That night, I didn't cry. I opened a notebook and started writing instead. Not poetry, not a letter, a list, every favor, every dollar. Every time I'd swallowed hurt and called it patience. Not to use against him, but so I'd never forget again what silence can cost a woman like me. The list got longer every day. It started with dollars. $40,000 loan in 2017, $5,200 for his college textbooks, $280 for a suit when he had his first job interview. Then it shifted. Hours holding him during fevers, weekends spent baking for his school fundraisers, nights I came home and didn't eat, just so he could have seconds. By the end of the week, I'd filled an entire notebook. I didn't write it for him. I wrote it so I'd stop forgetting what I gave. On Saturday morning, I took a bus across town to a small law office tucked between a dry cleaner and a vape shop. The place smelled like dust and coffee. The receptionist smiled and asked me to wait. Then I met her, Maria DeWitt, a young attorney in her late 30s with no-nonsense hair and even less patience for excuses. "I want to change my will," I said, pulling out the notebook. "I want to be clear about who gets what and who doesn't." She nodded. No judgment, just started taking notes. I told her everything, not with anger, but with precision. I told her about the loan, the silence, the Instagram post, the house, the word shaped that kept echoing in my head. By the end, she leaned back in her chair. "Well," she said, "you're not the first mother I've met who gave too much and got too little, but you might be the first who's doing something about it without yelling." We laughed. She helped me create a new will and a living trust. The few savings I had, about $30,000, would go to a scholarship for nursing students from single-parent homes, the small insurance policy I'd kept all these years, to Grace's granddaughter who wanted to be a teacher. And Marcus? Nothing. Not even the quilt with his initials. I'd already given him more than he remembered. I walked out of that office straighter than I'd stood in months, not because I was angry, but because I was done waiting. That night, I snapped a photo of my ceiling, the water stain still there, spreading like a wound. Then I sent it to Marcus. No caption, no guilt trip. He saw it, left it on red. So I sent one more message. "No need to worry about me. I finally remembered who I am." And just like that, I started to come back to life. I moved out quietly. I didn't tell Marcus. I didn't leave a note. I just packed up what little I owned. Some books, the quilt I made for myself, a kettle that still whistled, and left the keys on the cracked countertop of that leaky apartment. Grace helped me find a new place, a one-bedroom on the other side of town, small but warm, with clean paint and a heater that actually worked. There's a tiny balcony that catches the afternoon sun, and every morning I sit out there with a blanket across my knees and hot tea in hand. No drips, no mold. No waiting for a text that's not coming. I didn't disappear exactly. I just stopped showing up in the places where I wasn't wanted. A few weeks later, Marcus called. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was bright, practiced, like always. "Hey, Mom, just checking in. Yeah, saw you moved out. Everything okay? Call me when you can." I didn't call back. It wasn't cruel. I didn't block him. I didn't curse his name. I just didn't engage. Because when someone shows you your place in their life, believe them the first time. Instead, I started volunteering twice a week at the local clinic, back to nursing in the smallest, simplest way. Holding hands, listening, warming soup. One of the scholarship students I funded wrote me a letter. "Your gift changed my life," she said. "No one's ever believed in me like that before." I folded it up and kept it in my wallet. That letter? It filled more than any phone call Marcus could ever make. Now I'd like to ask you, the one watching this, have you ever stopped trying to be seen by someone and finally saw yourself instead? Because let me tell you, that kind of quiet freedom, it doesn't come with applause. It comes with peace. And sometimes, peace is louder than love ever was.